Well, good evening, and thank you for being here for all the cake that you could eat and the stand to put it on. I'm Charlie Tucker, and other than when we had the Blues Brothers here to do a collaborative demo on vacuum chucks, I think this is, in my 9-year history of DAW, this is the first time we've ever had a demo with more than one or two people up here. But tonight the project is doing a cake platter, a pedestal cake platter, and we're going to do it in 3 parts. I'm going to start by turning the bass, and then Sharon is going to come and she's going to do the platter, and then we're going to finish up this show by Brian coming and waxing eloquently on his spindle skills to show you how to turn the pedestal that connects all these things together. We had a little powwow together last week to sort of brainstorm how we wanted to do this demo, and we learned some important lessons about it. One of the things that we learned was the size of tenons, and Brian will be addressing that later today. But we're using hard maple, a piece of hard maple that I bought at Woodcraft, 2 feet, 12 inches, 2 board feet, and it cost me about $16, I think, with my club discount. So the project that we're showing you tonight is it's a useful project. It's an easy project, and it's one that'll give you an opportunity to hone some of your skills, particularly your spindle turning skills, and then produce something that produces one of those aha moments, you know, when somebody finds out that you did that. I actually took home the prototype that we built last week, and although it's not been glued together and finished yet, I assembled it and set it in our house, and I think that was about a week ago, and in a week now I have 4 orders for cake plates, so it's a good business there, and an opportunity for you to make some money, for you to go do what you'd like to do this summer. I'm starting with the base. I have a piece of hard maple, an 8-inch circle that has to be attached to a this is just a one-way 4-jaw chuck with straight sides on it. Happens to be one of the quarterly prizes I won here at DAW last year. But, you know, there's a lot of ways to attach wood to the headstock. You can use a screw chuck if you want to, or you can cut a mortise and do an expansion, use expansion jaws on your chuck if you want to, or you can do a tenon. You can cut a tenon on it, or you can put a glue block on it. And I decided to use a glue block. The reason why is because, as you'll see later, I'm going to drill a 1.5-inch hole into the base of this cake plate, and by working on the bottom, taking wood away from the bottom, I was concerned that I would be weakening this base, and so I wanted it to be as sturdy and as stable as I possibly could make it. I also normally would not put a glue block this thick on a piece of wood. But I purposely did this on this particular piece because, number one, it's small, and number two, I'm not going to be doing a lot of lateral cutting on it, and so I wanted it to be as strong as I possibly could make it. So let's, the other thing that I did was, knowing that I was going to drill a hole in here, I cut a hole both through the turning block and the glue block, and then I used 2 pieces of craft paper and Tight Bond 3 to glue this together, and I poked a hole in the center of those, and then I used a nail to run it all the way through to make sure that the glue block lined up with the center of the turning block. So let's put it on the chuck now and see how accurate my guesstimate was. Tight Bond 3. And the brown paper came from H-E-B grocery store. So All right, so we turn this magic machine on, and it's running very straight. If it wasn't running straight, what I would have been doing is I would have been using a bowl gouge for a shear scraping cut on the surface and on the edge. And this is a Thompson tool, and this is a Todd Brain's special tool handle, which I told him I would offer as a commercial to him. So Todd, raise your hand again in case they don't know who you are. Todd has a lot of business cards, and he'd be happy to put one in your pocket before you leave tonight. I took the time to go ahead and mark the center of this turning block, and also to put lines 3/4 of an inch and 5/8 of an inch in. And I'll go ahead and begin shaping the base here. I'm going to use a Doug Thompson parting tool. I don't have a Badan like my turning partners do, but this tool works great. Turning at about 900 RPMs. The secret to using this tool is to take very small, slim cuts. Don't try to cut it all at one time. I'll make it a little faster. Okay, I don't know the name of that cut or that situation, but I'm sure that there's a name for it somewhere. Now I'm going to go over to a 3/8 inch spindle gouge and round the corner down. To about 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to round off the top. And that's pretty rough to the finish right there. For the sake of time, I'm going to, I'll take this home and I'll finish it at home. We're going to finish this project, assemble it, and finish it and offer it as an auction prize at the Christmas party next year. So. One of the things that we learned when we got together last week was we had made our parts of the prototype in advance. I had drilled a 1-inch Forstner hole using a 1-inch Forstner bit, had drilled a hole into the base. Sharon had drilled a 1-inch hole into the platter using her Forstner bit. Brian came along and measured his tenons with his Forstner bit. And guess what we learned? The Chinese children in Wuhan don't make consistent Forstner bits. We had 3 1-inch Forstner bits that were 3 different sizes. And so one of the lessons that we learned was tonight we will use only one Forstner bit. We'll use Sharon's and increase the chances that it'll all fit together. I'm sorry? It's 1.5 inches. We moved it up to 1.5 inches. And Brian is standing here watching very closely because in a few minutes he's going to have to create a tenon, the length of which is going to be determined by the depth of the hole that I'm making right now. So that's my end of the show. Brian, or Sharon's next.